Alrighty, so how are we doing today? You guys ready to want to ride? Alrighty, well today I'm going to be giving you a little talk about the history of Breckenridge. The three main points I'm going to go over are the mining history and how Breckenridge got its name, its namesake, and how this area came to be. So the first thing I'd like to talk to you guys about here is the mining history, which is what started this whole town here. About 1860 is when the gold rush, they discovered gold here in Breckenridge, up in the Blue River Basin up in here. And it was one of the biggest gold rushes behind the California gold rush. It was one of the most profitable ones in the US also. Like per person that actually found gold, it was higher than the California gold rush. So people actually made money coming out here. Kind of a fun fact out here about the mining is one of the biggest gold nuggets ever found was found up in Blue River. It's called Tom's Baby. When the guy found it, it was 13.5 pounds. So he was a very lucky man. It's kind of a fun, there's a lot of different stories on how he found it. My favorite one though is how he was a very lucky man. He drank a little bit too much, more than he should have. So he had to go to the bathroom. This is back in times with no indoor plumbing. So he had to go out to his outhouse to go to the bathroom at night. One night he decided that he had to go to the bathroom, so he went out and tripped over a boulder or a stump, kind of depending on which story you hear. We're gonna go with a boulder. And so the next day, his chores for the day, besides going out and panning for gold, was he was gonna clean out his trail to his outhouse. And what he was doing, he was using horses like this, and he was pulling logs and stumps and boulders. And at one of the holes, once he pulled one of the boulders, he found a little gold nugget. Started digging around, and it ended up being a 13.5 pound gold nugget that he found. Very, very lucky, but that is where his luck ran out, because he put it, there used to be a train that went from Breckenridge over the pass to Como, and then to Denver, and that's where all the gold that they found here went, so they could cash it in. And he sent it on the train there, and he was gonna meet it in Denver. Rode his horse down into Denver, ended up drinking a little bit more than he should have, died of alcohol poisoning that night. So he never actually got to enjoy his gold nuggets, any of his money. So he wasn't.
Tell you that I'm his great-great-great-grandson.
No, I sure wish I was. I sure wish I was, because I'd be 13 pounds. That'd be a lot of money. This with how expensive gold is now. Come on, Sandy. But so it was a very profitable time for Breckenridge between 1860 and about late 20s, 1930s or so. The population ranged from 1,700 people to 2,300 people. And then after the last dredge run came up through Breckenridge and ended in 1949. So after that, between 1950 and 1960, the Breckenridge turned into a ghost town. The population of Breckenridge in 1960 was 393 people. The town council thought that Breckenridge was over, it was done as a town. But then December 10th, 1961 is when they opened up Breckenridge, and now we have all this going out here. So I'm going to move on to how Breckenridge got its name. It was named after a vice president of the United States. His name was John C. Breckenridge. He served under President Buchanan for 4 years. Once Buchanan's term ended, he decided to run for president. He ran against Abraham Lincoln, and we know that he didn't win. So what he decided to do after that was he became a state senator in Kentucky. But after about 30 days of him being a state senator, he got, it's not the right word for it, but impeached. He got kind of exiled out because he sided with the Confederacy when Kentucky was still part of the Union. And so what happened, he went down and joined the Confederate Army, became a general. He was actually the general that was in charge of one of the first major battles of the Civil War. Everyone thinks it's Bull Run. It wasn't Bull Run. It was the first battle fought in the Shenandoah Valley when the Union troops were starting to move on down. But so being a gold mining town in Colorado wasn't really pro-Union, pro-Confederacy. They didn't really care too much, but they wanted to stay good with the Union because that was where all the money was coming from for this town. So they decided, being very smart gold miners that they were, they decided to change the name of Breckenridge to Breckenridge, but they switched the E and the I in the word. So it's a totally different name, spelled a little differently. But the reason why Breckenridge decided to name their town after this vice president was they wanted their good graces in the U.S. government because they wanted a post office here in Breckenridge. And back in the day, post offices were a very big deal. And so since they got his name, the government sent money to open up a post office here. And the Breckenridge post office was the only one west of Denver. The closest one after that was an hour and a half drive now west in Glenwood Springs. So it wasn't a short drive. But then, like I said, 1961, the ski area opened, and it wasn't that big. They opened on peak 8. 2 Norwegian brothers decided to open up the ski resort. And when they did that, they didn't ever imagine expanding anywhere else, because they didn't think that there'd be the technology there is today for chairlifts and grooming material, like that type of equipment. Oh boys. But since they did do that, it grew exponentially throughout the next 40 years. And now, I mean, now we take through millions and millions of people every winter. In one day this winter, they had 25,000 people on the resort on one day. Which, yeah, that's too many people for me. But it's a lot of money for Breckenridge, especially when you got $129 for a day ticket. Vail Resorts is making a lot of money.
You're good whenever.
All right. So finish off. Breckenridge is pretty historic town. Throughout the town, there's probably about 350 historic buildings that you can't do anything to since they're historic. All of this whole district on your left-hand side, that's all historic buildings. All along Main Street, this is Ridge Street and French Street right above here. They're all historic buildings. And it's a very historic building. Thank you guys for listening in on me for this short little speech. Thank you.